Scanoni leads the nation entering this game in goals against average and save percentage. Coming in at goals against average just over 8. Save percentage up towards 62%. Scanoni obviously such a big part of the success of UMass so far. The face-off X, it's Frankie Lebetti. He missed last week's game against Drexel for Fairfield. He will be a guy that Fairfield desperately will like to have back in there, going up against the senior and Tom Myers. And Myers of UMass wins the opening face-off, and the Minutemen go on the offensive set for the first time today. A little sloppy with it. Transition chance. Big shot. Sails just a little wide.
Nice shot there by Papara. He can bring the heat on some of those shots. Watch out for him between the lines.
Multiple long poles have the ability to score in this UMass team, including Paparo. 9 points on the season, including 7 goals coming into this one. You look at the offense, you've got Jeff Traynor here, the starting midfielder for UMass, All-American candidate. Recorded his 100th career point earlier this season, doing so in just 2.5 seasons with the Minutemen. This is Kevin Tobin. Kicks it back outside to Traynor. Corsiniti saw it the whole way. But a turnover in the clearing game, and it's a little sloppy for Fairfield as they look to get their first offensive set. James Corsiniti, the freshman from New York, getting the start today. He, like Lebetti, did not play in that game last weekend against Drexel. One of the reasons why it was a tough one for Fairfield last week, losing 21-9 to the Dragons.
That's exactly the start you want if you're Fairfield on defense. Get your goalie a nice, easy, savable shot from 12 yards or outside so that he starts seeing the ball and it starts looking bigger to him. So that's a critical first stop there by Fairfield.
And now Fairfield having to work against a UMass defense that ranks #1 in the country in scoring defense. Giving up less than 9 goals per game. Here's Brendan Quinn for Fairfield. Stags wearing the black uniforms with the shiny red helmets. Let's get passed down low and deflected from Drake. Easy save there for Scanoni.
Nice job by Paparo getting his stick in the lane there. Saw the attackman drop the head of his stick, so he knew he was going low to high. Get that stick nice and low there too, and was able to deflect the ball before it even got on cage.
And the impressive thing for this UMass defense, you have Isaac Paparo, who is going to be an All-American this season, but he's not even your top cover guy. Sam Eisenstadt, the sophomore from Needham, Massachusetts, has gotten that #1 assignment for a lot of the season.
I mean, that's ideally the way.
And
nice
Billy
shot.
Philpott streaks through, and UMass is on the board first.
It's a nice take down the left-hand alley right there. But as I was saying, sometimes your cause turnover guy is not necessarily the best cover defenseman, so it seems like they're able to play off each other pretty well there.
To get another look at Billy Philpott's first goal for the Minutemen.
Yeah, no slide comes from Fairfield there. A little bit too easy. You know, you want to make UMass at least get the ball around the perimeter a couple times, slide and recover. You don't want to see just a midi going for a right to left split and not have anyone in his face. He's able to get the shot off without any real pressure.
Philpott, a dangerous guy for UMass in that midfield. Played primarily a short stick defensive midfielder position last year. This season has kind of gone both ways, gotten more of a chance offensively, and that his 12th goal here of 2019. For the Stags, the guy to watch is number 22 in black. Dylan Beckwith, the junior from Wantagh, New York, leads this team in goals, assists, and points. He's up at 55 points for the season. He will be key if the Stags want to pull off the upset today. This is Matt Sharp, whose pass is intercepted.
I think that crease attackman was open if he was looking for the ball. I think he thought that midi on Fairfield was going to throw it down the side to X, and he was open in the middle.
Tobin thinks about it, now down low. Pass back out top to O'Brien, bounce shot just high. Gabriel Prosek looking to set up the long pole for the unsettled goal. Instead, it's now an offensive set for the Minutemen. That's what makes this UMass team so difficult. We saw it last week against Towson as they roared out to that 9-goal lead after 3 quarters. When they can get the transition game going, this team is so dangerous.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes them unique in the CAA. A lot of these teams like to get their personnel on the field, play offense when it's time to play offense, in other words. They're not going to play offense with their defensive guys, but UMass, that's what makes them tough to deal with. They have no problem leaving their poles and defensive middies out to play offense for a little bit.
Tobin, skip pass back out top, deflected.
Nice. I don't love that call, Travis. I thought that was a great case of following through where the offensive guy was trying to get a shot off. You just come down on those hands and follow through with a check. I don't love the loose ball, I think, interference call that they just made there.
George Elmquist, the sophomore, gets the whistle, and so UMass continues the offensive set and gets a fresh 80-second shot clock.
All right, yeah, just give me a second. Gotta figure out how this works.
Here comes Trainer down the alley. Spins back through, thought about it, now skips it across. Down low, an easy finish from Chris Conley. Tic-tac-toe, the Minutemen up 2-0.
That was pretty. Very pretty ball movement there.
Go up there together, Miss Freshman.
Conley, the recipient there of a doorstep feed, but I love 14 here. He draws 2, he finds a skip lane, and then it's 1 more down to Conley on the doorstep. Don't take a good shot, make the pass to get a great shot right on top of the crease there.
Conley now up to 51 points on the season. That's #1 on the team last week, reaching the 100 career point mark, doing so in just a season and a half, a season and 3 quarters. The fastest guy to 100 points since 1989 in UMass history. We'll get to more on that in a second as UMass gets another face-off win. Chris Conley, such a dangerous sophomore player and has been a contributor immediately stepping onto the field as a freshman last year. Billy Philpott gets into a little bit of trouble, races out of it, now finds Ben Spencer and company.
Yeah, one or
Spencer sends it behind to Conley. His pass is intercepted.
That's what UMass is looking to do a lot. Draw a slide from up top, bang it to X, and have that X attackman shoot it right back up top right away. Fairfield looked like they were waiting on it that time as you saw the defensive midi just intercept the pass pretty easily. So it looks like they had a good scout of that coming in, but that's just a motion to watch going forward. UMass loves that type of action.
Something to note with the Stags that is a little different today. Number 22, Dylan Beckwith, running out of the midfield. Traditionally an attackman for this team, but Coach Andy Copeland deciding to run him out of the midfield today, give him some different looks as Drake rolls and hits the crossbar. And a backup to UMass.
Unlucky break there. That was a nice take. Faking to his left, got his defender hung up a little bit on that side of the cage, came back right, and unfortunately hits the crossbar instead of burying there.
Freshman Patrick Drake has been an immediate contributor for Fairfield this season with 17 goals. UMass right back to work. Philpott already has a goal today. And UMass will go through their substitution patterns and get some new personnel on here.
Yeah, you play against UMass, your offensive middies need to be prepared to play a lot of defense. They're going to play those substitution games and try to keep your guys, your offensive guys on the field and get tired. So as an O midi, you kind of have to take that personally and dig deep, play some good team defense.
Kevin Tobin back out top to Spencer. They play pitch and catch. Now behind to Conley. Trainer to Tobin. Just a little wide backup with 10 seconds left on the shot clock for UMass. So Conley gonna have to create quickly here for the Minutemen. Pass down low, they had it, but a loose ball push gives it right back to UMass. Those are the unforced errors that'll kill a defense.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, you kind of have to fault the defender a little bit for making the loose ball push, but at the same time, it's a feed to the crease. He's, making a play to prevent a goal. So, I wouldn't call that a huge mental mistake. He's making a play within the midst of the game there, but a tough break for Fairfield.
And what it does is give UMass a fresh 80 seconds. It's something we've seen with the shot clock this year. When teams are able to get extended possessions, it can really wear on a defense, especially when you have to play a tight final 20 seconds of the shot clock, and then the team gets another chance at it as that one sails high from Spencer.
Good timeout there.
Timeout Fairfield.
Fairfield takes a timeout. Give their defense a little bit of a break here for the final part of this shot clock. Look at the all-time series between these two. 4-10 Fairfield all-time against UMass. UMass with that series edge, but just a 3-2 edge in meetings once this has been a CAA contest. Fairfield coming into the CAA just a handful of years ago. The last meeting, Fairfield actually led in this game last year. 2-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. It was a game at halftime before UMass was able to blow the doors open.
Yeah, and I think the CAA, as we all know, is a crazy, crazy conference. Anything happens year to year. During my time at Hofstra in the CAA, there were plenty of times where, you thought the worst team in the conference might beat up on the best team in the conference. So, anything can happen. Fairfield is having a little bit of a rebuilding year this year, playing a lot of younger freshmen and sophomores. And then UMass has looked, very strong this year, building off of their championship last year. But that doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be a blowout. Anything can happen. And Fairfield's been fighting pretty strong here to open things up.
Yeah, the Stags sitting at 0-3 in conference play, but they win today. They keep their hopes alive to possibly make the CAA tournament. When you look at what else is going on today, Towson beating Delaware earlier today, 14-12. That put the Tigers in a tie for first place in the league. They continue to keep their options open to possibly be the top seed and host the CAA tournament. As for going on right now, Drexel at Hofstra, and the Pride have a lead on the Dragons. Drexel, a team that's played everybody tough this year, has a really good offense, but the Pride looking really good so far.
Yeah, that's looking like a battle down in Hempstead right now, out in the rain. You get a little rain on that turnpike down there. I'd love to see the Hofstra boys up 2 so far, but I think that's going to come down to the very end, Travis. I think that looks like it's going to be a 1-goal game all the way down to the end.
And Hofstra and Drexel, of course, battling currently for that 4th position in the CAA tournament. It seems as though Delaware, UMass, and Towson are probably going to be somewhere mixed into those top 3 seeds. So everybody else at the moment trying to get that final seed in the CAA tournament. And if it's Drexel or Hofstra, both these teams have played a lot of these teams really tough. Hofstra giving Towson a really tough time, and we saw Drexel give UMass all that they could handle earlier this season.
Yeah, just get into the tournament and anything can happen. I've seen 4 seeds win it, so.
As Tobin's shot is saved by Corsiniti. James Corsiniti did not play last week against Drexel with an injury, back in here. That was the first game in his freshman season that he did not appear. He's actually been pretty good for Fairfield this season. Got a goals against average around 12, but averaging more than 10 saves per game. Part of a young unit across the board for this Stags program. Trying to rebuild a lot of new pieces getting put into some different situations. Travis Ford, a shot sails wide. And it's backed up by Travis's brother, Trevor Ford, getting his first career start today, the freshman. I said it when we did a Fairfield game earlier this season. I don't know how Travis and Trevor lived in the same household, because as a Travis, I've been called Trevor a number of times in my life.
Probably sensitive to both of those guys. Sore subject.
Travis skips it across to Taylor Strow. Easy save there by Scanoni, but a turnover in the clear. Loose ball scooped up by Lucas Peterson, and Fairfield gets it back.
that last shot is that's not going to beat Scanoni. You know, he's one of the best goalies in the country. You need to change planes on your shot there. Fairfield player left it high after finishing the shot off high, so you'd like to see him maybe bounce or go low there.
Ford with the hands free. Bouncer goes all the way through. Pass in front. Travis Ford was open, but it was deflected, and it comes out to Jeff Trainer. UMass is dangerous in transition. Trainer, the trailer, slices through the defense and gets the bounce shot to go. Jeff Trainer's 20th goal of the season, 3-0 Minutemen.
As we were talking about, these guys are definitely more than willing to push transition. This was more of a what we call a slow break, where instead of a traditional fast break where you pass it right to the attackman and it's tic-tac-toe from there, he actually, the midfielder there, passed it to the attackman, who then hit Trainer in stride, and Trainer just runs through a couple stick checks there from defensemen, throwing their sticks around but not using their body, and is able to finish off with his left hand.
Frankie Lebetti wins the clamp, but a loose ball is scooped up by Gabriel Prosick for UMass. He's hounded, and I think we're going to get a timeout here.
The tough ground ball there.
UMass takes a timeout to preserve possession. The Minutemen with an early 3-0 lead here on LSN.
What's up, everybody? Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. Another big weekend of games across the country, but there's still more in store. Coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the Syracuse men playing at Navy for the first time since 1980. The Orange at 8-3 overall this year, winners of 3 in a row, and this is their last regular season game. Navy coming off the devastating loss to Army over the weekend in that rivalry game. They're at 5-6 overall this season. These two programs met last year with face-off specialist Joe Varello beating his brother at the X and going down to score the winner. Navy's first win over the Orange since 1982, so a little bit of history there. And in the Big Ten on Sunday, huge matchup between Penn State and Johns Hopkins in Panzer Stadium. Hopkins won 9 of the 10 meetings with the Nittany Lions all time, but that one time the Nittany Lions won last year. Penn State upsetting 5th-ranked Hopkins at the time, 14-12. The Nittany Lions still unbeaten in Big Ten play. Hopkins at 2-1 after that 14-13 loss to Ohio State last week. This is a noon game on ESPNU. So that's all tomorrow. More on this game that you're watching still to come.
Welcome back to Amherst, Massachusetts. UMass with a 3-0 lead over Fairfield in our CAA game of the week. Travis Eldridge and Finn Sullivan back with you on LSN. Earlier this afternoon, the NCAA Selection Committee releasing its top 10 rankings as of April 14th. So this is as of games through last Sunday. Interesting to note, Towson, who is a team that's been in this top 10 mix, not in contention after that loss to UMass last week. Syracuse, a team that was not in the top 10 on that initial rankings, finds their way up to number 6 with wins over Cornell and North Carolina a week ago.
Yeah, it's been a really fluid year, I think, in general, at the top, especially of these rankings. Penn State's been up there, you know, at least in the top 3 for the whole year. But outside of that, you know, Duke I've seen as low as like 11 or 12 towards the beginning of the year, and now they've looked stronger. So it's teams have been, you know, kind of figuring themselves out here as we now are in the middle of, you know, the nice weather, I call it. We're out of February and March. People are gelling together. Now everyone kind of knows who they are. So so it's interesting, very interesting.
Spencer's pass, a little errant, but picked up by O'Brien, kept alive here for UMass. Skip pass, back out top, bounce shot stopped by Corsiniti. And one of the big question marks for the CAA as a conference when you look at that NCAA Selection Committee's rankings is if UMass would knock off Towson and say those two teams are able to run the table here and UMass and Towson are in contention, whoever wins the CAA tournament, is the other team going to have a chance of making an at-large conversation?
So you'd have to definitely think that, you know, if that scenario were to take place, then that other team would have to kind of win out up until the tournament final, of course. So no, you know, they couldn't suffer any losses up until the tournament final. I think Towson is the only team that has a chance of that. UMass just doesn't have those like top tier quality wins that Towson does. They've beaten Loyola and Duke this year, so you know, those wins.
Loyola and Hopkins.
Or sorry, Loyola and Hopkins. So those wins are going to stack up at the end of the year. UMass doesn't have that kind of like top tier win yet, even though they are a very strong team and continue to show that they are.
Scononi comes out of the crease to make a deflection, causes a turnover, and UMass back on the offensive set.
Uh-oh.
This is Ben Spencer. They got Trainer coming out of the box, and instead moved along to Gabriel Prosick. Short stick matchup is usually one Trainer would be comfortable taking on. Instead, moves it across. Skip pass backside. Prosick was open, but they can't complete the pass.
He was there. He was there. Fairfield just got to clean up the substitution a little bit. I mean, you kind of want to just maybe trust your offensive guys and leave them there rather than suffer a 6-on-5, 5-on-4 unsettled transition opportunity there. But interesting, they decide to run their guys off, and they think they can kind of hold up until they get back to even on 6-on-6.
Fairfield looking for their first goal of this game. A team that offensively has struggled a bit, averaging just about 10 goals per contest this season. Or just 9 last week against Drexel. Travis Ford from downtown, another stop by Scononi. And that's something that Greg Cannella told us this week is Sean Scononi, when he sees balls early and builds the confidence, that is those games, you know, it's going to be a special game sometimes. And a turnover there for UMass. But early on, he's seeing the ball really well. A couple of saves that are very easy in front of him that he can track the whole way, and that's good news for UMass.
Yeah, this UMass defense, if they're shutting the middle of the field, right on top of the crease off, and you're forced to take step downs on Scononi, that's a recipe for success for UMass. You know, he looks really comfortable right now. I don't think he's seen a shot inside of 10 or 12 yards yet, and you really have to ping a corner and, you know, kind of rear back and fire at 90 plus to beat this guy from 12 out. So
Brendan Quinn collects as Adam Aronowitz runs onto the field. He's joined by Matt Sharp in this midfield unit. Quinn down to Drake, shot just a little wide. They've had a couple of shots from that angle. It's a tough spot, and Fairfield hasn't been able to strike there as Drake comes up just above goal line extended. This is Beckwith in front to Brennan, shot never got through. Drake keeps it alive along the end line. Still plenty of time here, 25 seconds of the shot clock for Fairfield. Aronowitz has it stripped away, and that'll be a turnover. Still 30 seconds left in the quarter for UMass to add one more. The big man, Scononi, coming out to clear. 5'11", 270 out of Long Island, Scononi.
he's so crisp with his passes too. That's what impresses me. He makes a lot of saves, absorbs the save, and then makes a great pass right after.
Long pass down to Scononi. He draws a flag, and so the end of the quarter, the big man, Scononi, coming out to make a nice play and get a man-up opportunity for UMass to start quarter number 2.
Showing off those ballerina feet there. Nice little tiptoe, catch the slash on the way, and then sell the call to the referee. Great job there by the big man.
We'll get you the flag when we start quarter number 2. It's all UMass so far. Minutemen cruising up 3-0 on the Stags in our CAA Game of the Week. Welcome back to our CAA Game of the Week. UMass up 3-0 after the first quarter on the visiting Fairfield Stags. Travis Eldridge and Finn Sullivan back with you here on LSN. As we have playback underway, UMass will start the second quarter on the man up as we had a flag at the end as Sean Scononi came out of the crease to get an extra man opportunity, and so UMass starts with the ball. Chris Conley shot a little wide. And they start this second quarter on the man up. Down on the doorstep, it's Trainer. Fake low, shoot high, his second goal, and it's 4-0 Minutemen.
Sharp ball movement there by UMass on the man up. Just spin it around the horn quickly, and looked like a miscommunication on the back end there by Fairfield. I think that defenseman 21 there is supposed to come cross crease. His 5 had come up to cover his guy, so he's next in line. Unfortunately, he does not do so, and that's another goal there for Trainer. A nice fake low, finish high.
Give Chris Conley the assist, his second point of the afternoon. This is a UMass man-up unit that's so dangerous. They got Gabriel Prosek, who's got 8 man-up goals this season. That leads the CAA. And a guy in Ben Spencer, who has 18 career man-up goals over the course of his 4-year career at UMass. So a number of guys who can beat you in the extra man. Stepping down, it's Charlie O'Brien, another one for UMass. They got it all clicking today.
Myers wins it to himself off the face-off, and we've touched on it a couple times. These guys are more than comfortable running in transition. I'm sure, you know, Coach Cannella and Coach Schneider have given them the green light in practice, and they must work on a bunch of transition drills, because these defensemen and defensive personnel and face-off personnel, these guys can all handle the ball. You know, that's not, you can't say that about every team, even at the Division I level, where these guys have good enough stick skills, and pretty much everyone on the field is a threat to score.
So
fun to watch.
With Myers going 4 for 5 so far, Fairfield goes to their backup guy in Liam Lynch, and he gets a face-off win as the wing comes in to make it play, Jake Timon, and gets a possession here for Fairfield. Changing face-off guys, trying to get something going. Quickly the other way, Beckwith, and it's stopped by Scanoni. He levels a player out of the crease, and that'll get a whistle on Scanoni. There's just some Scotty Rogers in him, coming out of the crease to lay some lumber.
Absolutely. Don't get too close to that crease.
Couple of Long Island guys.
Catching a slash across the forearms, the 7th defenseman there. Love it.
But Fairfield keeps possession on the loose ball push. Stags offense that's been held to single digits in every CAA game so far is that one just a little wide from Stroud.
That was a nice little play. He threw it down to the wing there and followed his pass. He didn't just stop his dodge. He kept coming and was able to find himself open for a shot. Just got to put that one on net.
Stroud, one of the outside sharpshooters on this team, joined by Brendan Quinn in this midfield unit. Beckwith trying to get something going. Skip pass back out top. 4 just wide. And that'll reset the shot clock, as it must have gotten a piece of Scanoni.
A good possession, best possession by Fairfield so far for sure. They're getting some good looks. They haven't buried one yet, but they're wearing this defense down a little bit here.
Travis Ford was the hero against Utah in overtime earlier this season. Another one of our CAA games of the week. One of the more entertaining games we've had here on LSN. As he couldn't handle that pass, Sam Eisenstadt picks it up. Eisenstadt, we mentioned him at the top as getting the #1 offensive player. He's guarding Dylan Beckwith today. How difficult is it if you're in the midfield trying to play against a UMass team that, well, it seems like all these midfielders are comfortable playing defense and offense and going back and forth?
Yeah, I think, you know, it separates kind of the offensive middies that have no interest in playing any sort of defense whatsoever, and then the guys that are kind of athletes and, you know, feel like anytime they're out on the field, they need to do their best, whether it's offense, clearing, defense. And so I think you kind of have to take it personally if you feel like guys are just going to attack you and run at you, you know? At a certain point, you have to say, well, no, you're not, you know? So, yeah, I think for Fairfield, those offensive guys kind of maybe look to stay on the field and prove to the UMass team that the defensive middies can't beat them, but another goal right there.
Tic-tac-toe.
Wow.
Trainer to Conley to Prosick. UMass is clicking.
Sharing the ball really well, too. That's what's impressed me the most. Not letting one guy try to, you know, run through two. They're just moving the ball well.
Look at this ball movement here. Trainer almost falling down, finds Conley behind the cage, and Conley and Prosick have been a deadly combination around the crease. Prosick, the freshman from Coquitlam, British Columbia, come in his first collegiate season and now has 31 goals.
And Conley, too, is so impressive to me. He's not the fastest or biggest guy out on the field, but he seems to have his eyes up at all times when he has the ball and is always able to make the right pass and find the open guy. It's really impressive to watch.
Another face-off win for Tom Myers and another offensive set for UMass. Matthew Hill ducking out a little bit of trouble. And the Minutemen will get some offensive personnel on here. You see Conley working as that ex-attackman for UMass. That's a position he's really taken over this year, as he's taken over some of the ball-carrying duties from Buddy Carr, who was the leading scorer for this Minutemen team last season, and he dunks another one home. Chris Conley's second goal today.
Right on cue there. Like I said, he kind of has his eyes up and is looking to feed first, and then he sees nobody's in front of him, right? The defense is too busy worrying about, oh, where's 10 going to throw the ball? And so he says, okay, I'll just take this to my left, go ahead and dunk it right below the goalie's feet right there. So, you know, I think they're worried about his feeding skills. He has a couple assists already in the game, and now you have to worry about him as a finisher and dodger as well.
Already 4 points today for Chris Conley. 2 goals and 2 assists. He's got 26 points in his last 5.
Yeah, this he's the best player maybe in the country that nobody seems to really talk about or know about. He's really good for them. I mean, UMass is a really good team this year, and he's their best player, so best offensive player at least. So, you know, he makes the drink stir for them, and this attack line starts with Chris Conley for sure.
He doesn't have the gaudy numbers
No.
of a guy like a Pat Spencer or a Grant Ament, but when you watch him play, and we've had a chance to do that over the last couple of weeks, he's just so difficult to guard. He's very much a complete player.
Yeah, he's the type of guy, it seems like the UMass team just, you know, it's all 6 players playing as one, and then you look up and Chris Conley has 5 or 6 points, and you didn't really realize it in the moment, but he's always getting his. He's attacking his matchup, and he's a really, really smart player. I like watching him play a lot.
And you look at, all you have to do is look at the balance in terms of his goals and assist numbers. Exactly 25 goals and 25 assists last year for 50 points, and he's right around those numbers once again, and he's over the 50-point mark in his sophomore season. That pass skipped all the way through to Paparo. Good job to keep it alive. And Kevin Tobin will reset with 40 seconds still on the shot clock.
Fairfield looks like they might be in a zone now. Either that or a really packed in man, I can't tell.
Spencer rolls away, gets it over to Trainer. Shot well off. But Prosick able to back it up with 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Ten seconds for Trainer. Conley jump shot just off. And the shot clock was going to run out anyway, so Fairfield, nice defensive set there. And late in shot clocks, I knew it was something you were talking about with the Outlaws that you guys would do, dropping into the zone to create it, making a more difficult shot for the opposing team.
Yeah, I think, you know, good offenses are more times often than not going to get a shot or a good shot against a zone just because they share the ball well, and it's tough to match the ball moving so quickly. But if you go to a zone with 20, 25 seconds left on the shot clock, it takes time for them to get the ball around and to actually find that open guy on the backside. So with the Outlaws, my rookie year in 2017, we had a ton of success. Every time there was a shot on the back line that was backed up, we'd switch from man to zone, and it would kind of screw with them. They turn around, they get the ball, they're like, whoa, no one's on me. So it takes some time for them to get in their zone offense. It's an interesting call and something that Fairfield seemingly just went to there.
Stags still looking for that first goal here today. 8 minutes to go in the first half. Adam Aronowitz sends it back to Beckwith. Under 30 seconds here in the shot clock. Beckwith working against Sam Eisenstadt. Drops down low to Brennan, and the Stags are on the board.
Wait, no. Get off me. Wait, no, he leaned back.
Jack Brennan with his 12th goal of the season.
Good job by Beckwith there, kind of the alpha of this offense this year, to take his matchup one-on-one with Eisenstadt. He's the #1 cover guy on his team. Dodges with his eyes up and finds Brennan cutting right through the middle without anyone on him. So just way to find the open guy there. Nice to get an easy one, on offense. You work hard to get all these open shots and stuff, and there's a miscommunication on defense, leaves him right in front of the net wide open, but, you'll take whichever goals you can get, and it's a good easy goal there to maybe get things going for Fairfield.
It ends the 7-goal run to start this game for UMass. Now a 7-1 lead as we edge toward the midway point of this second quarter. Travis Eldridge and Finn Sullivan here on your CAA Game of the Week on LSN.
Number 20, Jack Brennan, assisted by number 22, Dylan Beckwith.
And we've got a hold. We'll give it to UMass. Another possession for the Minutemen. Paparo. Dangerous in transition. Skip pass down low, and Gabriel Prosek's got another.
Yes, it was 16.
2 great skip passes right there. That was incredible.
Just gets the defense moving so quickly, and you're just whipping your head around.
I've never seen a UMass lacrosse practice, but I can almost assure you after watching them a couple times this year that they spend a ton of time on transition opportunities and back feeding, the trailers is what we say in lacrosse. So, pass down to the attack, maybe to someone like Conley who has great vision, and then he throws back up top for a step down. That was the case right there. Threw up top to a midi who found Prosek on another skip down to the pipe, and it was just crazy back-to-back skip passes for an easy goal there.
Prosek, maybe one of the most impressive parts about this freshman season for him is he has only played 1 year, as Brennan has another. Quickly the other way, the Stags answer.
Scored by number 16, Gabriel Prosek, assisted by number 5, Charlie O'Brien. As Prosek's second goal of the game in 30
Don't
seconds
sleep on Jack Brennan. He's got a couple of goals here early.
Fairfield with the transition goal there too, off the face-off. The only one so far that Myers hasn't been able to corral right off the face-off, and he just tosses down to Brennan for a nice simple lefty rip there.
Give Brendan Dreyer the long pole and assist there.
8-2.
Back to Prosek as Myers wins it forward to himself.
Number 39, Brendan Dreyer.
But we have a violation. He'll give it to Fairfield. So another offensive set as Frankie Lebetti's come back in there for the Stags at the face-off X. But to finish that thought on Prosek, played 1 year of outdoor lacrosse in prep school before coming to UMass. So not a lot of field lacrosse experience, but the indoor experience from playing in British Columbia in the box game, certainly transitioning pretty well around the crease.
That's incredible. I mean, even, a lot of those skills are translatable from indoors to outdoors, but the fact that he only played for 1 year is, yeah, that's insane. I didn't know that. That makes his impressive freshman season all the more impressive so far, that it's really his second year of playing outdoor lacrosse.
Yeah, it really started with a bang as he scored 5 goals in his collegiate debut against Army. It was a loss for the Minutemen, but a breakout game for Prosek. Billy Philpott taking his time setting up the offense here for UMass.
So this is interesting. Fairfield's in a zone, and in a pre-shot clock era, you would never see a team down 6 goals play zone defense, because it encourages the offense to just stall and take their time and waste time off the clock. But now with a shot clock, you can play zone, and UMass still has to find a way to get a shot on net. So it's very interesting how the rules, there's all these little nuances that coaches are kind of getting used to and figuring out.
Corsiniti with a nice stop there on Spencer. And he'll set up a transition chance here for Fairfield. Coming up at the half here on LSN. Stick with us. We'll get you caught up on everything going on around the country as another stop by Scanoni. Back and forth we go. We'll get first half highlights and some reaction from analyst Chris Marshall. UMass right back at you. Never a dull moment when you're looking at the Minutemen. Behind the back finish. The freshman Gabriel Prosek won for his highlight reel.
Yeah, that was tough. So Fairfield's had a tough start to this game, but it looks like they're trying to get caught playing UMass's game up and down a little bit, and they get a decent shot on net, but Scanoni swallows it up, and then UMass is back the other way. We've seen countless times today, Travis, how dangerous this team is in transition, and that was so nonchalant. How about the behind the back finish there on the run by Prosek? That was cool, calm, and collected by the freshman.
Already with a hat trick. He's now got 8 games with now 9 of 10 of 13 games, multi-point games. And the behind the back finish there, that's some of the box influence, improving the angle, because if he shoots that left-handed, he doesn't have much of an angle, but behind the back, he improves the angle, is able to get that shot on frame.
Absolutely. You fake once with your left, make the goalie, move out of position, and then you kind of come behind the back, either around him, maybe you go 5-hole. Seems like it's so easy for the Canadian guys to do it, and then I'm out on the wall and balls are going all over the place, so it's crazy.
Fairfield looking to answer. Not only do you have to go up against this UMass offense that can get up and down and score in transition, then when you get in the settled set, you got to score against the best defense in the country, but Brennan's got another. Hat trick for Jack Brennan.
Beckwith to Brennan again. Seems like this kid's got eyes for Brennan. Looks like he just has that sense that a lot of crease guys have, or good cut, smart lacrosse players have on offense, of when to cut, where to cut. He's able to cut right behind his guy in the crease. Beckwith has his eyes up again. Finds Brennan. Simple fake and able to finish left.
That matches Brennan's season high. He had 3 goals and 2 assists against NJIT. Coming off a game where he scored 1 goal against Drexel in that loss last week.
That's how you nullify Scanoni, too. You get the ball inside. There's no goalie in the world that will save, 1-on-0 shots over and over again. So get it to the doorstep, get it to the dangerous part of the field. Your success percentages go up.
Myers continuing to be stellar at the X as he gets a stop there, and Murrow picks up the loose ball. Fairfield wants to go in transition. Shot high and a finish. Cole Barnard, the midi. Back-to-back goals for the Stags.
Yeah, it looks like this team is maybe, shaking the jitters out a little bit. We've talked about how they're inexperienced, a lot of freshmen, sophomores, and this UMass team's a little bit more experienced. It seems like a senior-laden team. So, it looks like these guys are a lot more comfortable now. They're starting to run on offense. Guys are attacking their matchups right away rather than get all the personnel on the field. And nice rip there, high-to-high past Scanoni.
So difficult, too, when you don't see one go in the first quarter, and so it starts to mount a little bit. We've got a timeout for the Minutemen.
The Fairfield goal was scored by number 11, Cole Barnard.
So this UMass team coming in off maybe their best win of the season last week. UMass going on the road, our CAA game of the week last week, to Towson, and just took it to the Tigers for 3 quarters. Absolutely dominant. We led 12-3 entering the 4th. The Tigers went on quite the run in the 4th quarter to make it a little bit more interesting, but UMass able to come away with a 14-10 win. Sean Scanoni with 17 saves, Gabe Prosek, Jeff Trainer, each with hat tricks. One of the most impressive wins for UMass this season Though, in talking with Greg Cannella about this game, the fourth quarter brought a lot of teaching moments for this UMass team, not to let the foot off the gas because they almost let the Tigers get back into that thing.
Yeah, I remember I've been in locker rooms like that where you go up on a team big for the first 45 minutes, and then maybe you let them back into the game at the end. You finish out winning. That whole next week feels like it's a loss, I'm telling you, because the coach is all mad. The coaches are yelling at you, why did it get close, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm sure they had a long week of practice this week getting ready for this Fairfield game, even though they were able to win in the end by 4 goals, I believe it was.
That win moved UMass up to number 15 in the national polls this week, and more importantly, in the CAA standings. With UMass's loss to Hofstra earlier this season, it got them into contention still to possibly host the CAA tournament. Towson goes and beats Delaware today, so a UMass win, they would be tied for first place at 3-1, with the Blue Hens coming to their place next week.
Yeah, UMass is in the spot any team wants to be in. Just control your own destiny. So you're not hoping other teams, win or lose. It's all up to you. Just win this game, win next week, and then you get to play in your own barn. So UMass, keep it simple for them. Just win the next game, I think, is what Coach Cannella is probably telling his team.
I tried to get Cannella to tell me how important it was for them last year to host the tournament as the #1 seed, and he would not look past this game. So very much a one game at a time mentality for UMass, and it's working out pretty well for him here so far today. They're up 9-4 as we inch toward the half. Kevin Tobin, the sophomore from Reading, Massachusetts, taking his time. Ball makes its way back out to Jeff Traynor. Skip pass into the middle, he had it. And we've got a whistle, and it'll stay with UMass, a loose ball push. It gives them a fresh 80 seconds as we're under 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. We've seen just about the complete array of UMass offensive weapons so far today. Conley, Prosic, Traynor. As wrapping around, it's Tobin, deflected, but comes back out to Roy. Conley, near side, wrapping. He tried to find Roy, took his eye off of it. No flag there, they let him play. Still plenty of time for UMass, and Chris Conley will settle things down. Prosic. That draws a flag. He found the pipe. Roy, kick save by Corsiniti.
That was a sweet second save right there. Get across to the far pipe and kick that one out.
I don't know if that hit Corsiniti and the pipe, just the pipe, but it stayed out, but we will get a push. And UMass will go on the man up.
Yeah, Conley just finds Prosic get open right here on the lefty pipe, and unfortunately isn't able to finish. It's the pipe, but
that was a great kick save by Corsiniti.
I think Fairfield's definitely happy to come away man down rather than down 10-4.
I think he used the bottom of his shoe for that one. One of the reasons it kicked so far out. But another man-up chance for the Minutemen, who are 1 for 1 today. Conley down low, a bounce shot goes. It's Kevin Tobin on the board.
Almost identical man-up goal to the one earlier. You work it down to Prosic on the lefty pipe there. He skips it up to top middle. And now you're picking on the backside defenseman. In this case, it's 35. He's now got to step up. Oh, he's lost in the shuffle. There's no one down on the bottom. So it's a numbers game, You're looking for the 1-on-0 on the backside. How do you draw all 5 guys on defense to cover or think they're covering someone and then leave somebody right in front of the goalie for a 1-on-0? That's really what man up, man down comes down to. And UMass is playing the chess game a little bit better than Fairfield today so far.
And so Tobin, if you saw at the end, he took a nice little shot up high after he scored. Well, that's another penalty on Fairfield and another man-up goal here for man-up chance for UMass.
Yeah, the way they're playing man-up, too, that is not a spot you want to be in. Oh, nice lane there, though, by the defenseman.
It's Timon who comes out and creates the deflection, and Murrow comes away with it. So finally, Fairfield able to stop UMass on the extra man. Adam Reestis gets it across here to Beckwith. Still some time to kill on this penalty. Beckwith gonna do his best to run the rest of the penalty timeout as UMass up by 6, pretty content to not have to pressure too much. And Fairfield takes timeout with under a minute to go. Use it or lose it here toward the end of the first half. It's here on Lax Sports Network. It's CAA Press Pass. We'll bring you all the latest news and notes from around the conference. Prepare you for the biggest games of the week. CAA Press Pass on Lax Sports Network every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On that last goal, Chris Conley getting his 4th assist. He's now got 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points in this first half. And last week, we had a chance to see him get his 100th career point. Doing so as just a sophomore. He's the first sophomore in UMass history to get 100 points since Jim McAlevey did it in 1989. So it's been a little while, and I asked Coach Greg Cannella about Chris Conley and how good he's been in his first 2 seasons, and he mentioned some really impressive names when you look at Kevin Lavelle and Chris Fiore, but guys that didn't have the immediate impact that Chris Conley did as a freshman. That's one of the reasons Conley was able to do it so quick.
Yeah, the unbelievable part of his game is he plays like he's like a 5th-year senior. He's just so like calm and cool, and he's always like gliding with his head up out there. So he doesn't, you know, you look maybe then see that he's a sophomore and you're shocked. You're like, how is somebody with this amount of poise out there, you know, able to carry himself that way if he's just a sophomore? And I think he's the perfect type of player for this team, too, because as we've touched on a bunch of times, they push transition. They've got all these stable middies that love getting up and down the field. They need, like, a calming presence. So, like, you throw the ball to 10, and it's like, okay, yellow, everyone get off. Like, he's kind of like the calming presence on the whole team, it seems like. So he's just a fantastic and really fun player to watch.
And that's been the next level and evolution for Conley in his sophomore year. He's actually, I'd heard this from Scanoni and from Coach Cannella, he's very much taken Gabe Prosick under his wing to be able to kind of teach him along throughout his freshman season, which is impressive for a sophomore to be that kind of leader so early in his collegiate career. Fairfield trying to add one here toward the end of the quarter, but it's collected by Scanoni. Still 10 seconds for UMass. Paparo sends it through. It sails wide, and that brings us to the end of the first half. UMass got it clicking early, up 3-0 after the first quarter. The Minutemen adding 7 more in the second frame. UMass with a 10-4 lead at the break. Trainer, Prosick, and Conley all clicking early. We'll send you back into the LSN Broadcast Center for the LSN Halftime Report. Tom Myers relatively dominant in that first half, 9 of 14 at the X, going up against Frankie Labetti once more. We saw Liam Lynch take some faceoffs as well in the first half for Fairfield, but this one won by the Stags, and they'll get the first offensive set if they can clear.
Strong statement, I think, right there to open up the second half. Fairfield wins the faceoff, and they got a little bit of momentum to close out the first half. So, you know, carrying that maybe along into the third quarter here would be huge for them.
See Dylan Beckwith working at X. Instead, Quinn keeps it. I think it's important for Fairfield to keep Beckwith involved here, despite the fact he's going up against a really good defender in Eisenstadt.
Yeah, definitely. He's their alpha. He's their main guy. So you got to keep him active, and he's got a he's a lefty, and he's got a lefty matchup. So that's actually advantageous for the offensive player. He's able to feed on that left-hand side, and it's not as easy as like a poke check in a checking situation for the defender. So just watch out for that too. If I were Beckwith's coach, I'd tell him to keep dodging to the left.
Beats back out top, but Drake couldn't handle it. And it's scooped up by UMass. It's Matt Hill who brings it over. You look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Just gone final, Drexel knocking off Hofstra. An important game for the Dragons to try to stay alive for that race for the 4th and final playoff spot in the CAA. So the Dragons get an important win, and that's a tough one for your Pride, who now sit there at 1-3 on the outside looking in at the CAA tournament.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not sure if this completely eliminates Hofstra or not, but it's definitely not looking good for them down there at 1-3. You know, we were talking about it earlier. I had a feeling it was going to be a one-goal game. How tight this conference is year in and year out, especially this year. And it sure was. It just, unfortunately, not for my Pride on the right end of that one today.
Devin Spencer couldn't handle the skip pass, and it's just batted out by Fairfield.
Good play. Get it going your way, you know? Yeah.
And they get the unsettled ground ball. Sharp quickly ahead. Brennan in transition, stopped by Scanoni, but it draws a flag.
That was an awesome pass. That was almost like a quarterback, like Tom Brady, dropping it in there in between the corner and safety. You don't usually like to throw those types of passes because it could get your guy killed. But that was, it worked out for them there. And Fairfield goes on the man up here. Look at this. Drop it right in the gap there.
You mentioned Tom Brady. Matt Sharp is a Duxbury, Massachusetts native, so there you go. I'm guessing
the best Brady imitation.
Yeah, I'm guessing the Duxbury kid is a New England Patriots fan.
Huh?
Know if you can grow up in Massachusetts and not be.
Oh, absolutely not.
So a man-up opportunity here for Fairfield. Just 27% on the season on the extra man for the Stags unit. Sharp in there, along with Taylor Strowl, the sharpshooter, Drake, Brennan, Beckwith. This is Sharp, but Scanoni just read it the whole way. Right down the chute.
I like seeing guys confident enough in their shot and being able to think, you know, he crow hopped into that one at 12, Sharp did, and was convinced he was going off hip right at past Scanoni for the goal. But at the same time, you get this man up to start the second half, you have momentum, you know, work it around like UMass has for that backside 1-on-0 on the goalie rather than a step down from 10 or 12 yards. I think that's your highest chance at a goal there. It's not a step down on one of the best goalies in the nation. It's a 1-on-0 if you move the ball fast enough.
There's a reason Sean Scanoni's numbers are what they are. Entering this game, #1 in the country. Goals against average and save percentage. Tobin sends it back. No look pass up to Philpott and couldn't handle it.
I got no shot right now.
Pushed along by Timon, but scooped up by Tobin. So UMass, the shot clock did not reset, so it's down to 16. I don't know if the Minutemen know that. They'll just 10 seconds. Tobin's got to hurry. Philpott winds and fires deflected. And with 1 second left on the shot clock, they'll just take the violation. Refs ruling that Timon never scooped it up, so he was just trying to push it forward, and they ruled no change of possession, so Fairfield's 80 seconds kept moving.
I think that was the right call, too. He was trying to, like, hockey it along the sideline, but never actually picked it up. So good call. No call by the refs there. And just look at how different these teams are. Like right now, UMass would be playing right now. 28 would be dodging his guy, but Fairfield they want to play a slower game and they want to have their offensive guys play offense. So they're subbing their guys out and they do a full change, 3 for 3.
Travis Ford quickly doubled. Gets out a little bit of a trouble.
Not saying one, strategy is better than the other, but
Different.
You just said, yeah, exactly. They're different approaches, and UMass is really good at playing their style, so that's what makes them tough.
Taylor Strauss stopped by Scanoni. He's up to 8 saves on the afternoon. And this is where UMass can be dangerous. Trainer beats one man, draws a slide, and he wants none of that. He'll back it out.
I love Trainer. He dodges really hard every time he has the ball, and he makes you like cross-check him rather than just, there's a lot of defensemen that can kind of slash and just throw their stick out there. But the tough guys like Trainer, which are few and far between, they just run right through sticks. They don't care about getting slashed. They'll deal with the bruises tomorrow, So you have to put a body on him, and he's only stopping his run once you put a body on him. Tough kid.
Pass down low to Conley. Now to Prosick. Conley's
Nice
pass
play.
intercepted. Great spot by Cole Barnard. He's got a goal today. Thinks about it, and Scanoni again. Look at how quickly Scanoni gets it out. Right back the other way comes UMass. Mike Elcock thought differently of that long-range shot, and the Minutemen will settle things up. That's Isaac Paparo, who may be winding and firing, but Mike Elcock, the LSM, decides he wants none of that. 0 career goals, by the way, for the redshirt senior from Needham, Massachusetts.
Even though that was a save by Scanoni, I kind of like the idea of Fairfield just playing a little bit more up and down and feeling more confident. They got that flurry of goals at the end of the second or first half because they were playing faster. So lean into that a little bit more.
Skip pass back out top. Bouncer goes. Tobin's got another.
The fundamental bouncer right there. Skips off the turf like 5 yards in front of the goalie and then goes top shelf there. A very fundamental just bouncer, bang. Top left corner. It's a great shot by Toby.
And another assist for Chris Conley. Guy's on fire. 2 goals and 5 assists now for the sophomore. Those 5 assists for Conley now ties a season high. He actually leads the CAA in assists per game with over 2.5 per contest, a number that's going to go up. We've got a yard sale, and Conley actually came in there and helped create the turnover.
Guy does it all. Right after getting a nice, sweet assist, he's, chomping at the bit, ready for the next play, and gets the ride or cause turnover on the ride there. The cliche, your best players need to be your hardest workers. That's like case in example right there.
He also came into the game with 23 ground balls on the season. He not afraid to scrap, and that's exactly something you want to see out of one of your offensive leaders.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to play for Coach Cannella at UMass unless you're ready to scrap at all times. So you definitely know he's got some grit to him.
UMass looking to get to 3-1 in CAA play. That would keep them in contention to host the CAA tournament and give them a chance next week to win and know that they will be the top seed in the conference. Pass down low, couldn't find Conley. Corsiniti well out of his cage. He's got to behind the back feed it to Elmquist, and he's able to create a clearing opportunity. Fairfield needing to win today in order to keep some hopes alive of making the tournament. Coming into the day at 0-3 in CAA play. Adam Aronowitz seeing some extended minutes here for Fairfield, number 8 in black. Working against Billy Philpott. This is Beckwith, team leader in goals, assists, and points for Fairfield. Been held to just a couple of assists so far today. Travis Ford, backhand shot well high. UMass defense showing you why they're number 1 in the nation in scoring defense, giving up just over 8 goals per contest.
Beckwith can get something here. They've gone to this well a couple times.
Working against Eisenstadt. Skip pass up to Drake. Bounce shot kicked up by Scanoni.
A good result when you get the ball to 22. He's dodging with his eyes up.
Scanoni did get a piece, so a fresh 80 seconds for Fairfield. Pass deflected. Ford couldn't get it through, but he picks it up, diving in. That shot didn't have a chance. Let's see what the call is. Ended up right in the leg area of Scanoni. Ford looks to be shooken up.
This is the dangerous and controversial part of the crease dive here. Gets some contact, gets hit right into Scanoni there. I thought Scanoni had initiated the contact or something, but it looks like a defenseman.
Yeah, it was Mike,
the Fairfield player.
Mike Elcock came in and hit him into Scanoni. Scanoni, a really agile play because that's a dangerous,
very dangerous
spot
yes.
to roll up underneath your legs. Scanoni avoids any issues, but the collision, Elcock with a big hit on Ford, and then Ford rolling into Scanoni. We hope he's okay.
Shaking up for Fairfield, number 28, Travis Ford.
Certainly a concern for Coach Andy Copeland as Travis Ford came into the game ranked 3rd on the team with 20 goals.
Tough take there sometimes, though. You get the ball into those kind of, high danger areas, and you have to pay the price for getting a shot on net in front of Scanoni.
And after all that, no flag. It's just a crease violation. So more harm for Fairfield. Insult to injury as they give up the ball, too, on the play.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't a dirty hit. It looked like he got him in the kind of rib area, but from the front, not from the back. So it looked like a good no call again by the refs.
So UMass goes to work. Tobin's got a couple of goals this afternoon. Back to Conley. He's been just absolutely deadly from that spot, and he sets up another one. Devin Spencer cashes in. Assist number 6 on the afternoon for Chris Conley.
He can do it against man. He can do it against zone. It looks like Fairfield was just in a zone on this this pass possession here. And problem with zone against a guy like Conley is that there's nobody in his hands or face, so he can just kind of sit at X right behind the goal and just wait for that guy on the crease to pop open, and it's a simple dump right there. So it's tough, playing zone against teams with a really good feeder like Connolly is hard. He can just wait the full shot clock until you make one slight mistake and find the open guy.
Chris Conley now tying his career high in points. He had 8 points against Utah, big win for UMass earlier this season. He's got 8 points today with 2 goals and 6 assists.
Assisted by number 10, Chris Connolly.
Turnover there after UMass won the faceoff. We'll give it back to Fairfield. A couple of shots high there from O'Brien, but no flag, and Fairfield gets it into the box. Stags still looking for some offense here in the 3rd quarter. shot deflected up by Scanoni. Gets the fresh 80 seconds for Fairfield. Scanoni with another stop. Stroud trying to get something going. Instead, has to send it along to Quinn. Now Beckwith got his man hung up. Back out to Drake, and Scanoni sees it again.
Popcorn. It's too easy for him.
And
that shot's coming in. He's looking at who he's going to throw it to already.
No look pass. Another one goes. The goal for Nick Roy. Scanoni with the save at one end, transition, and UMass, like clockwork, puts home another.
Great ball movement again, right off of the save. Scanoni finds the open guy, and it's tic-tac-toe the other way. Nice finish.
Great no-look feed by Charlie O'Brien, and in transition as well. First goal of the season for Nick Roy.
UMass goal scored by number 1.
Had 4 assists coming into today, and the junior from Illinois puts one home. Scanoni somehow gets a piece of that to keep it out. He is locked in right now. Beckwith shoots high. And this is one of those things when you do shoot a couple of shots that are easily savable for a goalie like Scanoni, then he gets locked into this zone that you just don't want him to be in.
Yeah, totally. I think Fairfield's got to, look to the crease a little bit more and try to get to the more dangerous areas of the field because, like we've been saying, 10 to 12 yards on Scanoni is not going to cut it.
Paparo stole that one away out of midair, and he gets it to Chris Conley.
Okay.
UMass has it all clicking here in the third quarter.
Yeah, this is going to be a dangerous team down the stretch. They got a taste of the NCAA tournament last year. So, they're mad after not advancing last year. I think they only lost to Yale by a goal, maybe.
It was a
very close game. They lost the defending national champion in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So you're feeling mad that they were eliminated in the first round, but pretty good about their showing. And if they're able to run the gauntlet in the CAA down the stretch again and get there, I think I would probably pick them to advance at least past the first round, depending who they're playing, just based off of that been there, bad taste in their mouth kind of factor.
This team got a wake-up call against Hofstra a couple of weeks ago. They gave up a couple-goal lead down the stretch of the fourth quarter. Hofstra came back, forced overtime, then it won it in OT. And then they came out firing in the first 3 quarters against Towson. You could tell that the message was received loud and clear by this team.
That's the sign of good teams, too. And, teams that are that have good leaders, they don't let a bad game turn into a bad month, where all of a sudden, listen, UMass is too talented to not make the CAA tournament, and we'll see if they make the NCAA. But, they could have gone through a lull there after Hofstra to kind of drop another one, and they rebounded really nicely and were able to beat Towson.
This is a scary moment for UMass. That's the All-American Isaac Paparo who's down. I don't know what happened. Couldn't see it. As good news is he's walking off under his own power. Came right here on this loose ball scrum. Kind of got undercut by Brennan. Goes down.
He's okay. Key cog on this Minuteman team, so definitely
Huge
need him for,
piece.
as we were speaking about, if they're going to make a run at a title or anything down the stretch, they definitely need Paparo to be as big as he's been for the past couple of years.
A preseason co-CAA Player of the Year. He's got a yard sale around midfield.
That they're up 13-4 and they're riding all the way to the midline. That's encouraging, to say the least. And then another goal right there. Look at that. Rewarded.
UMass catching Fairfield in transition, unsettled. Another one goes. It's 14-4. Give Prosick another.
I think this team got the message last week after not, settling after 3 quarters and, letting Towson creep in at the end last week. I think they want to put this one to bed right away.
And that causes the Stags to take a timeout here, down by 10. Let's take you back to halftime here in Amherst. UMass celebrating a couple of special teams. The 1969 team celebrating 50 years. That team earned the program's only undefeated season. They finished 10-0 overall and won the program's second all-time New England championship. And then also celebrating the 1989 team, 30 years of them, just the second ever team in program history to reach the NCAA quarterfinals. Had a chance to see Tim Sudan out there, the former Rochester Rattlers head coach, obviously a terrific player as part of this UMass Minutemen program. He was there in attendance to be part of that 1989 team that was honored, a couple of teams that were very important to this UMass Minutemen history. And of course, a tie came last year with Jeff Traynor, who became the first midfielder with 50-plus points in UMass history since none other than Tim Sudan did it back in 1990. So nice little tie between the current UMass team and that team from the late 80s or early 90s. Of course, UMass last year making it to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012. That team led by the great Will Manny.
It's a great team. Great team. They got upset, I think, in the NCAAs by Colgate and Peter Baum that year, but
a couple of good names there, Will Manny and Peter Baum. They ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, I think they both turned out okay in their respective professional careers.
Will Manny had a chance to bring his Utah team, now an assistant coach at Utah, came back here to Amherst to play the Minutemen earlier this season. Will Manny in Utah didn't fare so well. UMass took care of business, but a cool opportunity for Will to go back to his old stomping grounds now as an assistant coach.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. He was a phenomenal player and really the best player in the CAA for a couple of years there during his time at UMass.
Another save by Sean Scanoni, who has been dialed in this second half, brings us to the end of quarter number 3. All UMass in the third. Minutemen lead by 10 as they've got everything clicking entering the fourth. Chris Conley has been the man today for UMass and the Minutemen. He's got a couple of goals to go along with 6 assists, and in this third quarter, we saw an entire repertoire of Chris Conley assists. This was from earlier in the first half, goes down on the doorstep, and then in the third quarter, started operating from X, and he's just so dangerous when he's navigating from that quarterback spot.
Yeah, I think he's so comfortable behind the cage, just has eyes and is always looking for those middies that have, a lot of them seem to have dangerous step-down shots, so that's the look he's always, trying to go towards, and if not, that's not open. Hey, look at the crease. There's Prosick, another attackman cutting right there.
8 points, tying a career high so far today for Chris Conley, the sophomore from Glastonbury, Connecticut. As you got Travis Eldridge and Finn Sullivan back for the fourth quarter of our CAA Game of the Week from Amherst, Massachusetts. UMass looking to put the finishing touches on a really solid performance here so far. Looking to get to 3-1 in CAA play. And as we've mentioned throughout this broadcast, UMass, if they win today, win next week against Delaware, next Friday night right here in Amherst, they win both of those, they'll host the CAA tournament as the top seed in a couple of weeks. And so the road to the NCAAs and the CAA would come right here through Amherst.
And I don't see like a glaring weak point or anything, even with a lot of strong teams around the country in general. You can always kind of point to like one position or one thing they don't seem to do well. UMass is incredibly balanced. They have depth on offense. They have a go-to guy in Chris Conley, strong goalie, strong face-off play, and the defense gives Scanoni savable shots. So you know, I haven't really seen what the recipe is going to be to beat this UMass team. They have a couple losses, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
We've got a goalie change for Fairfield as Sean McKee has checked in. The junior from Ambler, Pennsylvania, actually got the start last week against Drexel, made 15 saves, but gave up 21 goals in that loss to the Dragons. So McKee checks in for Corsiniti, and he saw some immediate action there, making a save. And Trainer, a little miscommunication as he looked down to the doorstep, and that's a turnover. But you mentioned UMass and the glaring weaknesses. We had a chance to see UMass against Ohio State, one of their 4 losses earlier this year. And really, one of the biggest things it came down to is they didn't get transition moving. Early on in the season, there were some struggles in you're working in some new pieces, trying to feel everything out. I think it took this team a month or so to feel like they were back in rhythm, that team that won 11 straight to end last year.
Yeah, I think, you know, thinking about it a little bit more, actually, and it's a good point you bring up about the transition. A team that would give UMass problems is one that all of the offensive personnel and middies have no problem getting back and playing defense. And not only that, to actually do a good job at it, right? And it's not something you can kind of fake all year and then we're playing UMass this week. Okay, I'm actually going to play defense. Like, you have to buy into the defensive system all year long and be athletic enough to match up with those guys. So that's the type of team that might have success.
Travis Ford finally gets one by Scanoni. Step down for Ford, his 21st goal of the season.
Nice skip pass up to the top there and step down shot to beat Scanoni. If you're Fairfield, this is a rebuilding year, so you're just trying to get a look at, you know, what's to come maybe down the line for next year, where they might be able to compete for a CAA championship. But so you're just building the blocks right now, and I think Travis Ford moving into next year, you know, as a junior, he's going into his senior year. He's one of the pieces that you might be able to rely on.
Scored by number 28, Travis Ford, assisted by number 4, Patrick Drake.
When you look up and down this Fairfield roster, certainly a lot of young pieces, and even the guys who aren't young, relatively inexperienced. They had to replace a whole bunch from last year's team. Their leading scorer from last year in Colin Burke, announcing he's transferring to Utah, so he did not play this season. He'll play with the Utes next year. Also had to replace their second leading scorer in Joe Rodriguez, their top 2 face-off guys. So there was a lot of pieces that were getting new playing time this year, and it's been a tough season overall for the Stags, but looking to build on this and try to close CAA play in the regular season out on a relatively high note. They take on Hofstra next week at home to close out the CAA slate. We got a flag down, so Fairfield gonna go on the man up, free possession here. Beckwith in front to Brennan. Scanoni stops it, but triggers the penalty. Scanoni now up to 15 saves.
Crazy.
Once again.
And, you know, UMass defensively, Isaac Paparo gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. He's a great player. But this kid, Sam Eisenstadt, number 44, is a phenomenal player. And I love guys that play, like, really fundamentally sound and are able to match feet with the quickest and most dangerous offensive person on the other team. So, you know, don't let his play get overlooked. He's really important for this defense to keep playing well. He's got to match feet with the best guy on the other team.
Beckwith down low to Sharp. It's kicked away. Race for the corner, won by Fairfield. Good hustle. Brian Crawley. Crawley, the younger brother of John Crawley, who played at Hopkins. Pass down low, and Crawley cashes in. Nice catch and finish by the sophomore.
Nice skip on the man up there. And Fairfield, you know, they've been overmatched today talent-wise, but they're not giving up. You know, they keep fighting to the end, and I love seeing that. Coach Copeland's a great coach in the CAA, and they're going to have success down the road as well. You know, maybe not this year, but it's encouraging to see these guys play a full 60 minutes despite the scoreboard and, you know, keep trying to put points on the board here.
Give Beckwith another assist as well. He hasn't been able to score, but has certainly made his mark as the quarterback of this offense. Loose ball scooped up by Barnard. Transition chance, but a nice hit. And it's pushed ahead by UMass.
Nice play. A one-handed pick.
Jake Timon able to create a turnover. Came into the game ranked second on the team with 15 caused turnovers. And Fairfield gets the possession. Beckwith from way downtown. Something to keep an eye on for UMass. We saw Isaac Paparo, the All-American, go out with an injury in that third quarter. We have not seen him since. So a long-term concern for UMass is Sharp with a nice catch and finish.
Sharp kind of covered on the crease there, but his defender wasn't looking at the ball, so he had no idea where the ball was, and Sharp just kind of flashed his stick there. He's able to finish, even though he's got heavy pressure kind of all around him. See the defender there, not really aware of where the ball is and if the pass is coming or not, and so Sharp is able to finish right around him and use him as a screen.
And Beckwith showing off the feeding ability, now up to 4 assists. And a violation on Myers gives it right back to Fairfield, so a chance to continue to chomp into this lead. Remember, UMass last week let Towson right back in this thing. They led 12-3 entering the fourth quarter, and it ended up in a 14-10 win. Let the Tigers go on quite the run in that fourth. Certainly something that Coach Greg Cannella has to be preaching on the sideline to kind of lock it in here and close the door.
Yeah, you definitely don't want
Little
that to
help
become
from
a
the
trend.
Post. Yeah.
You know, of playing a strong first 45 minutes and hoping it's enough to hold on in the end. That's not something you want to carry down the stretch when you play better and better teams. So I'm sure Coach Cannella is hammering that point to his team right now.
Stroud down low to Beckwith. Scanoni another stop.
Way to gather that rebound, too. That was impressive. Athletic
18
guy.
saves for Sean Scanoni. Scanoni was 17 last week, made a career high 20 saves earlier this season. Also made this 20 saves last year against Fairfield. So he's a guy who's had a couple of pretty good games against these Stags.
Couple really big goaltenders in the CAA with Tyler Canto on Towson and this guy here. So it's, you know, the big guys, it's one thing to be big and take up a lot of room in cage, but you also have to have kind of soft hands and be able to absorb the shot so you're not giving up rebounds and balls aren't just bouncing off of your chest, right? You're actually making the save and outletting. So it's not just the big body, you know, for Scanoni and Canto. It's the fact that they're able to kind of corral the rebound, too, is what makes them effective.
Tobin down low to Prosick. He's got a 5 spot.
A skip pass for the Canadian. He face dodges, and you got a Canadian down there with his left hand right in front of the goal. I'd say that's like a 95% success rate for most of those guys. He's able to bury there.
The 5 goals ties a career high for Gabriel Prosick. Did it against NJIT and against Army in his collegiate debut.
Can I just give me a second? I'm gonna switch from auto to manual again. Manual to auto.
Minutemen able to get one back after a couple of Stags goals and a violation. This time gives it to UMass.
16, Gabriel Prosek, assisted by number 6, Kevin Tobin. That's Prosek's 5th goal of the game and 35th of the season.
And in that mix, we got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty to Dylan Beckwith. So that was a man-up face-off for UMass. They get possession, and now going on the extra man. They have been deadly on this today. On the doorstep save by McKee.
It's that same action. They almost got it. I mean, that almost was the 4th time I think they've gone back to that same play. They go from one side of the net, skip it up top middle, and then it's 1-1-1 around, hopefully getting that lefty Prosek, I think it was in that case, right on top of the goalie for a 1-on-0, and goalie made the save on that play.
Scanoni out of the cage to pick up the ground ball. Gets it back to the offensive unit on the man up. Still time here for Chris Conley and company. Now we're back to even strength. Interesting note there in the stats. Fairfield actually out shooting UMass today. But when you have a goalie for UMass who's made 18 saves.
Yeah, and there's like quality of shots too, you know, like you see that in like hockey's a good example.
Oh.
Wow, what a check.
Elmquist, the sophomore from Texas with a yard sale, stripping trainer.
But yeah, it's something you see in hockey and lacrosse. Bad teams will outshoot the good teams just because they're shooting from further away.
It's a hat trick for Kevin Tobin, a little twister. It's the old indoor shot.
Absolutely. Tobin's another midi on this team I like a lot. Him and Trainer dodge really hard. He's smaller than Trainer, just as tough. And that was nifty right there. It looked like he had no angle on the right side. Uses the twister, bring it over to the left side of your body and finish.
Tobin now up to 29 points in his last 9 games. Came into today 26 points in his last 8. Has really been sharp down the stretch of the season as UMass has kind of found their stride here in the later part of April and really kind of hit their stride toward the end of March. UMass team going into that loss to Hofstra early in CAA play. Had won 6 in a row. And as you look down the stretch for the Minutemen, one of the other big things is their ability to win a lot of face-offs. Billy Philpott all the way through the defense. The nifty footwork for the midfielder, and he's got one.
Philpott with another familiar action today. It's a UMass midi running through the middle of the field through stick checks instead of body checks, and this Fairfield defense should be looking at this film maybe next week and wondering why they didn't, you know, break down in a more athletic position and maybe cross-check and take body rather than swing their sticks. I just want to highlight, though, on the last play, Conley's like almost out of bounds there. He's all the way behind the net, right on the end line. They pass down to him on the other side, and he immediately throws a frozen rope all the way back up to Philpott on the other side. I mean, that's a play that, like, it looks so simple. He's just really taking a pass from one side of the field, throwing it to the other side. But he does it in 0.5 seconds, and it's the fact that he's able to do it so quickly that kind of gets Philpott in a position where he's able to score like that. So credit to him too.
Got a face-off violation on UMass, and that triggers a flag. I believe that's the 3rd one on the Minutemen today. So man-up opportunity for 30 seconds for Fairfield.
That was UMass's 3rd face-off.
Sharp kicks it over to Stroud. Another stop by Scanoni. Ball ricochets all the way over midfield. And the backup, I believe, is going to go to UMass.
Wow.
Prosick won the race to the sideline, just a little ways away.
That was one of the only outside shots today by Fairfield that actually, had enough mustard to get by Scanoni and was in the right spot. It looked like that may have kicked off the pipe all the way back to the other side of the field.
We're back to even strength as Scanoni up to 19 saves on the afternoon. Saw a shot there on the sideline of a fan in a UMass hockey jersey. What a month for the UMass athletic program.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That they lost in the final there in a really tough game to Minnesota Duluth. But,
Yeah.
really reinvigorated. I think the hockey program really hasn't had too much recent success. They're in a really tough conference nationwide, and they went on this incredible run and really reinvigorated like the campus athletic, kind of student athletic life. So it was really cool to see, this uprising of a lot of people getting behind the Minutemen hockey team.
Yeah, what an incredible run. First ever Frozen Four for the UMass hockey program, and now Cale McCarr.
But that kid is...
Who's gone on to the NHL now, and he's already got a goal and an assist.
He's
to
playing
help,
like 20 points a night, I think. They're in the playoffs.
To help the Avalanche, they just upset the #1 seeded Flames.
Insane.
The Avalanche moving on as Cale McCarr is making his impact felt in the NHL, just like he did the Hobie Baker Award winners. We've got a UMass Minutemen player down. And Kevin Tobin, as soon as he knew that they had the ball, he all of a sudden just rose from the dead. Trainer quickly the other way. That was the old soccer thing.
Exactly.
Like, oh, we've got the ball. Okay, I'm good. I'm all right.
I'm not having a heart attack anymore. I'm actually okay.
Looked like he was writhing in pain and gets up and he's going. UMass takes the timeout. They're up by 10 here late. We'll take one, too. Your CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. Welcome back to our CAA Game of the Week in Amherst, Massachusetts. UMass in cruise control here in the fourth quarter, up by 10 on Fairfield. So this is what this means. UMass wins. They'll get to 3-1. They'll be in a three-way tie for first place with Towson and Delaware with 1 week to go. Because of the head-to-head win over Towson, UMass beats Delaware next week. No matter what Towson does in the final week of the regular season against Drexel, UMass would have the head-to-head tiebreaker and would get the top seed and the chance to host the CAA tournament. Drexel, by winning today over Hofstra, keeps themselves in contention and likely locking up that fourth spot because of that head-to-head win over Hofstra, no matter what they do next week.
Yeah, I think, hosting the tournament obviously is like very preferential for UMass. They happen to control their own destiny right now, so they're in a good spot, but it's not the end all. And I think especially this year, you have 3 teams at the top of the CAA that are, it's razor thin almost, the difference between UMass, between Delaware, and between Towson. So I think no matter where those 3 teams play, and then you throw in a Drexel or a Hofstra if they get in with the 4 seed, anything can happen there. We saw UMass recently, a couple years ago, they won the conference as a 4. So.
Oh, what a finish by Dylan Beckwith. One-handed up over the top of Scanoni.
That was awesome. Just finishing up on that point, though, I think this year in particular, there's not one favorite and then a bunch, 3 other teams that maybe can contend. It's really 3 teams that nobody has any idea who's going to win this conference. So, if you're UMass, you want to host, but it's not the end of the world if you don't.
One more look at Beckwith.
That was sweet.
I think he got the second hand on there, the backhand flip. Gets Fairfield back within 10. I think you're right, and you look at Drexel, ask this UMass team what they think of the Dragons, because that Drexel team came in here to Amherst and nearly beat UMass, kind of smacked them in the mouth, led at the half. UMass had to fight back in the second half to win that one. A 1-goal win for the Minutemen earlier this season. That is a team that if UMass is 1 and Drexel is 4, that's a really tough semifinal for the Minutemen.
Yeah, the thing about this conference is, no one's scared of anybody. For example, I was speaking a little bit earlier about how UMass has run the same sort of offensive schemes and styles for years. So nothing is going to be a secret if it's Drexel in that 4 spot to Coach Volker. He's seen you know, how UMass likes to play. He knows they like to push transition. Drexel knows that, you know, they like to find middies from Connolly, you know, feeding up top. So even though, you know, there might be a talent discrepancy between Drexel and UMass, they both know each other very well, and you know, anything can happen. If you know how a team likes to play and you adjust accordingly, then you know, you make up for a loss of talent.
And of course, you can see those CAA semifinals and championship game right here on Lax Sports Network in a couple of weeks. Thursday night, May 2nd, the semifinals, and then also the championship game on Saturday, May 4th. All games you'll see right here on LSN, no matter where they are hosted. Yes. We're down to 3 potential spots, it seems like.
Save there. Quick hands by the goalie.
Yeah, McKee able to keep that one out, but a loose ball. Finally won by McKee. Goalie showing some nice nimble feet, but a violation gives it right back to UMass. A fresh 80 seconds, and they can almost take the entire rest of the game clock down. Under 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Next week, our CAA Game of the Week slate continues, and we'll be right back here in Western Massachusetts. UMass, the 15th ranked team in the country, a ranking that might go up after this result, taking on the 20th ranked Delaware Blue Hens. Delaware will be coming off that loss to Towson today. The Blue Hens knowing that their chances at hosting the CAA tournament will not only depend on what happens next week. If they could beat UMass, they'd also would need Towson to lose to Drexel later on in the weekend. The UMass-Delaware game coming up here next Friday night. So a quicker turnaround for UMass to get ready for that Friday night face-off against Delaware.
To me, that's a bigger game for Delaware than it is for UMass. You know, they're going to get into the CAA tournament, it looks like, Delaware as well, but they don't really have like a marquee win yet on the season. So if they're able to get a win over UMass going into tournament play, I think it would do wonders for their confidence, knowing, hey, like, you know, we have a great record. We're 11-3 or whatever they finish, and we've beaten a really ranked, tough team. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
Beckwith unsettled. Another couple of saves by Scanoni. That ought to get him over
fitting,
the 20 save spot.
And on a beauty from Scanoni.
Sean Scanoni, #1 in the nation in goals against average and save percentage, and he helps finish off another solid win for this UMass team. 20 saves on the afternoon for Sean Scanoni, and UMass walks away with a 9-goal win. What stands out for you about UMass as they go ahead to the final game of the regular season next week?
Complete team win. There didn't seem to be any lapse of concentration. You know, Fairfield went on a little bit of a run towards the end of the first half and into the beginning of the second half. But I think UMass, there wasn't a single weak point in their game. They did everything well. Conley led them on offense. Scanoni led them on defense. And they really looked the part of defending CAA champion that looks like they want, you know, itching to get back to the NCAA tournament.
So UMass enters next Friday night, our CAA Game of the Week against Delaware, with a chance to win and know they'll host the CAA tournament. So once again, your final score, UMass 17, Fairfield 8 here at Garber Field. Thanks for watching our CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network. For Finn Sullivan, our producer Dylan Hand, and our entire crew, I'm Travis Eldridge. Your next CAA Game of the Week features these same Minutemen back here at Garber to face 20th ranked Delaware next Friday night. We'll see you then. But for right now, we send you back into the LSN Broadcast Center.